Welcome to Get Green, Northwest Indiana, your home for lawn care solutions with Steve Daly. Each podcast, you'll learn the secret tips to growing healthy green grass and best practice solutions for watering, weed and feed, aeration, and mowing. Here are your hosts, Steve Daly and Jim Jano.
All right, so today we're at part 2 of how to water your lawn. And right now, Northwest Indiana is under a drought condition. And you've been putting out a lot of information for Northwest Indiana to know that they need to start watering. And I love your blog. And it has a lot in there. It shows pictures of what your yard looked like. It talks about what you do to water your lawn if you have clay soil, sandy soil, loam soil, new seedlings, new sod, regardless of the situation. But something that really grabbed my attention was a map that you had. What was that map, and how does that help you?
That map is basically a U.S. drought monitor. It helps us determine where we're at as far as how lawns will recover from this.
What's it saying?
Right now it's saying we're in severe, basically moderate to severe drought conditions. It's also starting to show that we got short and long-term impact, whereas even as little as a month ago, there was really no long-term impact implied on the map. So at this juncture, what's long-term impact mean? You're losing plants. You're going to start losing plants. So if you don't give it the care it needs, we are going to see major lawn issues by fall. I mean, it's coming. So
can people lose their yards?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can lose good portions of your yards. Most of the time, lawns are resilient. I've seen some pretty bad droughts. A lot of times they bounce back, but we've been in drought conditions off and on for 3 years running. So expecting them to bounce back every time we let them get damaged, it doesn't happen. Think of your landscape plants. If you let the same plant get damaged year in, year out, does it live? No. They all have a life expectancy, and they all can take so much abuse. And yeah, you can fertilize the lawn to get it to fill back in to some degree. But I mean, if you've got crown death throughout the lawn and major patches of not very good grass, you're going to have to renovate it.
What's the first sign that your yard is beginning to need help?
Oh, it'll start turning brown. It'll give you the indication. It reserves water to the roots, so it's really obvious. When a grass plant goes brown, it's telling you it needs something.
Now, does that mean it's dead?
No, it means it's dormant.
Okay.
All right. Just means you need to replenish it. You're losing water. It needs the water that it's missing.
So I read in your blog that you had mentioned that we are actually in our 3rd year of drought conditions, and that people's lawns in Northwest Indiana have become very weak over that. And this is a time where it could be a breakout season. If they don't start watering, what's going to happen?
If they don't start watering, they're probably looking at either some way of revitalizing the lawn, whether it's through aeration and overseeding, or whether they're going through and actually having to renovate if the damage gets too bad. A lot will depend on what kind of grass types they have in their lawn, how often they water, how it reacts, how high they mow. We really haven't discussed mowing height, but mowing height is just as important as water. The higher you leave your lawn mowed, the more water is available to the plant. So if you mowing at 3.5 inches, 4 inches, your lawn will have a tendency to stay greener. If you're going to cut it at 2, you better plan on watering it, because in these kind of conditions, it's going to struggle badly.
Now, if somebody's yard does go dormant, is all lost, or what can they do, and what happens if it does go completely dormant? How do you revitalize it?
A lawn goes dormant, you start watering it. You're just going to have to water it a little heavier to get it back, a little more frequent, probably a couple. You're going to have to change your watering pattern a little bit, probably watering it that 1.5 inches every 4 days, 3 days, 5 days, whatever, until it comes back, depending on your soil type. So you'll just have to monitor that, but you need to start watering.
Okay, what happens if you're lazy and you don't do anything, and then you hear, honey, you better get that grass back to life? Is it too late? Is it dead?
Death is only told by crown death. If it's yellow it's okay. If it's going black, you're starting to lose plants.
I noticed on your blog you got a picture of a lawn that has a lot of black in it.
Yep, and that's probably a lawn that'll need to be renovated at the end of the year.
And that gets expensive.
Yes, I mean, for the amount you'll spend in water versus the amount you'll spend in renovation, think of how much it took, how expensive it is to, say, sod or seed a lawn originally.
Right.
Okay, it's a plant. Everybody will look at that flower they planted and they spent, $15 on it, and they'll water the crap out of that all summer long. Yet this, several $1,000 investment they have laid across their lawn, each one of those is an individual plant.
If people don't start watering their lawns, what's going to happen?
The word screwed comes to mind, but you can't let it go too long. You got about 4 weeks. so
if you
4 to
don't start
6 weeks, start watering it. If not, you'll start losing plants.
Sounds like it's a pay me now or pay me later situation.
Yeah, pay me or pay a landscaper. It depends on how badly you want to take it.
Why don't we leave this with a tip? Give us Steve Daly's tips today. What tip would you give people today?
Water. That's the main tip right now.
3 rules.
Water. If you're going to fertilize your lawn, you need to water it. If you're going to spray weeds, you need to water it. So concentrate on that first. If you wanted to start a program with us today and your lawn's dormant, I won't touch it. We'll have to wait. Need to restore the lawn color first. How do you do that? Water. So that's your key. Generally, everything else we do is based on what you do. So I would go from there.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and this is very informative, and we hope that Northwest Indiana all benefits from your help, and happy green lawns for everybody. And thanks again for your time, Steve.
Thanks, Jano.
All right.
Have a great day.